Hello my friends, and welcome to what is becoming a series of videos on Phoenix Point in 2021, although I suppose with the end of the year rapidly approaching I'm going to have to start calling these Phoenix Point in 2022. So I spent a long time thinking about what to call this video, you know, difficulty in research, head scratchers. It's something I've got to get off my chest. Okay, so in a game, when you come to play a game, you either want to be challenged, you want the game to be as difficult as possible within the scope of the designer's intent, or you want the game to be easy and, you know, just have a relaxing game and mess around, faff about, you know, whatever. You're either looking for a challenge, and the most challenge that you want might be medium difficulty or hard, not like some extreme difficulty, or you don't want that and you just want to explore the game's content and story without really having to worry too much about the combat. Now, where I'm going with this is there is a strange and wonderful bug in this game. As you can see here, this is rookie mode. You can tell by the fact that the guys start with 22 strength, 9 willpower and 14 speed. And here is Synedron's first mission. And I was just looking for any mission to do, really, that's against humans. Because there is an interesting quirk of rookie mode, which actually potentially makes it the hardest mode in the game at the beginning of Phoenix Point, which is boggling. And there's two reasons why, but I just want to show you guys the first one because it's the biggest head scratcher for me.
Ready to go to work.
Okay, so here we are on the old first Synedron mission. I'm not going to play it through, I'm just going to find an enemy, which I'm sure there'll be one or two around somewhere.
On the move.
Obviously it's rookie mode, so we got like 6 blokes.
Ready.
Okay, where are the enemy?
I'm prepared.
Ethan Grub. Or Grub.
Ready. Watch out, I'm moving in.
Oh, this is this broken building, isn't it? The one that has no way to get on the roof. Oh no, this one does.
They can't stop me.
Okay, I have no idea where the enemy is. Slowing down my showing off here. Okay, here we go.
Out of my property.
Okay, so now I have to wait until it's my turn again to show you guys what I want to show you.
My turn. Action.
Wow, you picked the wrong place to be. But anyway. Okay, so you'll notice here that this thief has got 160 HP, 8 will points, and I think 15 speed. 15 speed, by the way, is a huge amount of speed. None of my guys have got 15 speed yet. 13 speed, maybe, not 15. And so, here's the funny thing. Human enemies in Phoenix Point are created by being randomly rolled based on how much SP that they've got. So all the enemies in the game, say the enemies are level 1, they will just randomly have strength, speed, willpower, and abilities based on how much SP a human should have at level 1. There might be a little bit extra for I think there's a little extra stipend for non-Phoenix Point characters. So you'll note that when you buy heroes or agents, operatives, when you buy operatives at Phoenix Point, they come with slightly poorer stats than if you hire a similar level agent from a Haven. So there's a small bonus that non-Phoenix Point operatives receive. But basically, what Rookie Mode has done is the global SP level has been changed for everybody. Which means that on Rookie level, especially at the early part of the game, enemies are way tougher than they would be, have way better stats than they would do on Legend. Now, Legend punishes you... well, the main punishment of Legend is that the enemy always aims for the head, all the time. That's the main punishment of playing on Legend. If you play on Hero, Hero may be the easiest difficulty in the game because the enemy does not always aim for your head like they do on Legend, which is something that you can game, but generally speaking is a negative. But the reason why I say that is because the global SP amount that units receive, if you face level 3 or level 4, level 5, level 6 human enemies, non-Pandoran enemies, this issue doesn't affect Pandorans, just affects humans. On the higher difficulty levels, they are also going to have awful stats. So, my operatives in my Legend campaign have done like 60 missions and gained like 5 SP from each mission. And the bonus SP growth is obviously lower on higher difficulty levels. And that's fine, that's how it should be. But the interesting consequence of that is that when I face level 5, 6, 7 enemies, a level 7 legendary agent gets so few points that even with the little bonus stipend that non-Phoenix Point humans get, those humans cannot even max out their stats. And the AI seems to prefer maxing out stats before buying abilities, which means that you almost never see soldiers with abilities on Legend because they don't have enough points to buy them. But on Rookie, they'll be maxed out and they'll also have abilities. So human enemies are way more deadly on Rookie mode than they are on any other difficulty level. Now, I know this is like, just ridiculously perplexing as to why this would be a thing, but it is. So on my legendary campaign, I am still fighting enemies that have, like, sometimes I'm fighting enemies that have got 20 willpower and like still have the baseline HP of 140. Because the AI spent all its points on willpower and then did not buy anything else, couldn't afford anything else. So that's what the AI did, was it just it bought a load of willpower, couldn't afford much speed or HP, and you end up having enemies in the late game on Legend, as long as they're human enemies, you have enemies in the late game on Legend that are still potentially one-shots for sniper rifles. Especially high-grade sniper rifles with perks. Like, for example, an infiltrator with a sneak attack can do something like near 200 damage with a sniper rifle. And any sniper with Sniperist, which is a 25% damage bonus, can do roughly like 140 to 160 damage, depending on the rifle, maybe a little bit more. And that's enough for one-shot kills on Legend, but not on any other difficulty. which is actually a really significant change. Terminator combos against humans. So a Terminator combo is when you put like ready for action on that gives you 2 AP back for every kill. Terminator combos are way harder to execute on lower difficulties because the human enemies will almost certainly have way more hit points on rookie or lower difficulty levels than they would do on legend or hero. So, and in the early game, this issue is amplified dramatically because you don't have the tools to really deal with enemies who have vast quantities of hit points.
Heading out.
So, it's a mind boggler as to why the game is like that.
I'm on Overwatch.
Why does the difficulty level change the global SP allocation for all humans and all factions? I mean, I get that it's consistent, but it leads to a problem that Legendary mode creates for the actual easiest battles against humans, where human enemies are going to have the lowest stats and potentially no abilities because they can't afford them. Whereas on lower difficulty levels, they might have maxed out stats, especially at higher levels, and abilities. And occasionally on Legend, I have seen humans with some baseline abilities like Dash and Quick Shot, and they do use them. So, I mean, it's a pretty serious problem that your easiest mode is potentially actually, in the early game, the most difficult mode. It's ludicrous to me. Like, how does this happen? Why is this a thing? So I had to get that off my chest. There is another thing that makes easier difficulty levels harder, but that is it's only that's only the case if you don't understand the way the research system seemingly works. So let's have a little talk about that now. I'm not gonna load any of my my Legendary campaign games because I don't want anyone to see how far ahead I have gotten. But let's talk about research. So actually, I will load a game from the current episode that's out now. So just 1 second here, because we don't do any editing on this ride. No editing allowed. Okay, all right. So let me load up a game from an earlier time. I don't want to spoil anybody. It's important to me. Obviously, I record in advance because sometimes you get sick, sometimes you're just not in the mood to play. So I only record when I'm in the mood to play, and I do massive gaming binging sessions when that's the case. Don't worry about the display bug, that'll fix itself when the game loads. That's OBS for you. Or it should fix itself, I can fix it. Not a problem. This is a bug that I have seen on a few games that are of dubious programmatical quality. Obviously don't seem to have proper OBS hooks. Okay. So, this is from my Legendary campaign. Which I hope you guys are enjoying. This is just an early game just to make a point. Okay. So, research. So people ask, how do the Pandorans progress? And from what I can tell, the way it works is sort of the same way as why there's this SP bug. So the SP bug sort of seems to imply that programmatically, the difficulty mode is just changing a global figure for all humans, how much SP that they've got. And that's why that problem's come about, because they've just got one global stat for how much SP a human at a particular level has got, and they're just editing that, and that's led to the unintended consequence. Now, I think that research for all factions works in the same way. So you have, obviously, Phoenix Point as a faction, the three major factions in the game, Anu, New Jericho, and Sanhedrin, and then you have the Pandorans as a faction, and all 5 factions are researching their own technology. Now, the Pandorans seem to research something or many things each week, and those things appear in the Pandoran report that appears every week, as to which I never go in here normally, but you know, which enemies are available is shared with you in a report each week. Now, here's what's interesting. There is a knowledge share system in place, and the way it works is, so the way it used to work is when you got into bed with a faction, they shared all their research with you, and you instantly had all of their research. So anything that they'd researched, you could just instantly research for free, and then things that they hadn't researched, you could research, and they would get it, and you would get it. Now, that's no longer the case that it's done instantly, but what is true is that when you research something, they also get it. Now, here's where it gets weird. The way the game works, it seems to be that you are allied with the Pandorans for research purposes, but you can't see it. Because the Pandorans are researching their own things. So think of them as like they're researching bodies. So they research a particular Triton or a particular crab or a particular siren. They're always researching bodies, chassis. Now, Pandorans can also use faction and Phoenix Point technology on certain Pandorans. The Triton, for example, can use New Jericho sniper rifles. It can use neuralizer pistols. It can use the Sanhedrin neuralizing sniper rifle, and so on and so forth. Now, much further along in this game, I never researched. There are a number of things which I never researched. And the reason why, or what is potentially funny about this game, is whenever you research something, it's shared with the Pandorans. Now, many things have no effect on the Pandorans at all, like, you know, Haven trade protocols, for example. But when you research something like this, neural toxin weapons technology, you will then immediately see Pandorans using that technology if you are the first person to research it. So this is where it sort of gets interesting. So all the factions are busy researching their technology, and in the early game, they're researching, or I think that they're secretly researching stuff that most of them have already got, like their sniper rifles and all that kind of stuff. When they unlock that stuff, they then move on to actually researching their, you know, the things that you would expect. So, like things that they don't have, like, you know, poison crossbow, neuralizer pistols, Mute-Hog, New Jericho's armor-piercing weapons, all that kind of stuff starts getting researched. And when you're allied to those factions, you can see what they're researching anyway. But the thing is, as soon as someone researches, say, neuralizer pistols, let's go with neuralizer pistols. As soon as someone researches neuralizer pistols, everyone gets it, including the Pandorans. What that means is that if the Pandorans have already unlocked the Pandoran monster, the body as it were, as soon as you unlock the pistol, or as soon as a faction unlocks the pistol, the next thing that you'll see, I'm just speeding forward here. The next thing that you'll see is you will see Pandorans with that technology, because it's unlocking for them as well. So where does this long explanation go to? Well, where are we going to? What this means is that if you're playing on rookie mode and you use the extra resources that you start with, and the fact that the game is easier, it's easier to make money and all that kind of thing. If you use that
Research complete.
to if you use that quick start to start piling out research, you could potentially be unlocking research early.
Research complete.
That will cause the Pandorans to advance in capability. So here we go. So you can see here that this is very early in the game, it would seem, because it's just unlocked. The New Jericho have evidently just finished unlocking this. Unless Neuralizer pistol ones are already in this game. I can't quite remember, but the basic point is that when you research certain technologies, you will potentially see in the next intelligence report, it hasn't happened here, but it's happened for me with other technologies. When you research those technologies, you will potentially see in the next report that the Panda have got the technology that you have just researched. And in fact, what triggered me on this is how the system works is much further along in this campaign. New Jericho wasn't doing great technology-wise. They never do, because they don't have a lot of havens. A lot of havens with research centers. New Jericho seems to take its sweet time in researching stuff, at least in the games I play. I unlocked the New Jericho armor piercing technology before they did, and obviously because I was allied with them, it was shared with them. Literally 2 hours later, the Pandoran report was due, and in that report, I saw a load of new Pandorans unlocked, and all of them had New Jericho weapons. So it just immediately went to show that potentially researching certain technologies is unlocking technology for the Pandorans. Now, you can't stop Pandoran advancement by not researching anything, because the three factions, as in Sanhedrin, Anu, and New Jericho, are slowly researching stuff on their own. So you cannot slow down the advance of the Pandorans forever by not researching stuff. But you definitely can avoid potentially more dangerous enemies by not researching certain technologies which are particularly nasty on Pandorans, but not on, don't really interest you that much. So, for example, the Sanhedrin paralyzing sniper rifle is not the most useful weapon for you. Largely because it does quite a lot of damage. Well, it does a reasonable amount of damage. So it's not very good at paralyzing small Pandorans, because it will actually kill them before it paralyzes them a lot of the time. And the paralysis values are not that high, so it's not that useful against big targets either. Because I think it does something like 16 paralysis for 3 AP, which is terrible. The pistol actually will do a lot more for a lot less AP. And against a big target, you're not about to miss anyway. So the Sanhedrin paralyzing sniper rifle is really not that useful for you as a player. But the moment you research it, you're going to be facing Triton kidnappers with that paralyzing sniper rifle. So Because the moment you finish the research, or the moment Sanhedrin finishes the research, the Pandorans will have it. So if you can avoid researching it for a long time, or if the havens, if the factions get crippled early, you can potentially dramatically slow down the development of the Pandorans, which, you know, once again, it's a total head scratcher as to why this would be the case. Why why would you do that? Why not have the Pandorans just have their own weapons, their own research that they just work on by themselves, and it's fixed. It's, you know, and if the player gets ahead of the curve on research, then fine, great. Make them put the difficulty up or something if it's not difficult because they get so far ahead on research. And if the player falls behind on the curve, on the research curve, then, you know, fine. They just will have to put the difficulty down or play better next time. But instead, what you have is a weird system where by playing well or by playing on a lower difficulty, you can potentially set yourself up to research things which are more beneficial to the enemy than you, and you can create yourself your own custom hell without even realizing that you're doing it. Because anything that you research, anything that Phoenix Point researches, is immediately shared with the Pandorans if they can use it. Which I presume that a fair bit of your technology they can't use. But the things that they can use, they'll get. Which is, as I said, it's a bit of a head scratcher. But it definitely works this way because I've tested it. And, yeah, So, in conclusion, if you want an easy Phoenix Point game, well, it's not as simple as just picking the easiest difficulty level. You are probably better off selecting hero difficulty, because on hero difficulty, enemies will not constantly target your head, like on Legend, which, as I've said repeatedly, you can game that by by keeping your distance from the enemy, and, you know, they'll hit you a lot less because they're not aiming for the body. But snipers are especially terrifying on Legendary because they will always aim for your head, and a lot of the time the weapons are accurate enough to hit. So play on hero, because on hero on hero the global SP pool will be lower for units, and that will be more detrimental to human enemies than it will be to you as a player, since you get SP for going on missions. And also consider very carefully how many research labs you're going to have in the early game, and what technologies you're going to research, because you could be potentially accelerating the Pandorans more than yourself. Instead, you probably want to focus on bringing bases online, building additional aircraft, building radars, all that kind of stuff. You actually want to focus on increasing your material reach over trying to win, like you would in most XCOM games, most XCOM style games. The way you win them is usually trying to accelerate your research programs so that you can get ahead of the curve. But in this game, all you're doing is you're working for the enemy. You're just handing your research over to the Pandorans and making them harder to kill, which is frankly bizarre. So you can just surgically go for the things that are very useful to you, like reverse engineering the Sanhedrin sniper rifle and New Jericho sniper rifle, etc. Well, see, that's the thing. Well, this is a funny thing. The Pandorans don't use the Sanhedrin standard sniper rifle at all, but they do use the New Jericho one. So just don't reverse engineer the New Jericho sniper rifle, and do reverse engineer the Sanhedrin one. And you'll find for a long time that the Pandorans are not using the new Jericho sniper rifle. Bizarrely. Because it's not been researched, technically. It's a very weird system, and if anyone ever gets into the code to find out exactly how it works, let me know. But through my testing, it seems to be the case that all of your research is shared with the Pandorans, so you can potentially power them up, which makes no sense, but here we go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Those of you who have lived on this channel for a long time will know that I like to challenge conceptions. For example, in Battletech, everyone said that light mechs were just totally worthless, and many mods were created to buff them. And it turned out that they were actually some of the most powerful units in the game, if not the most powerful units in the game, but you had to play them in a very specific way with high grade pilots. And it can be very difficult to challenge a conception that everyone agrees on as being true, especially when it's something that should be obvious, like the easiest difficulty is the easiest difficulty, and the hardest difficulty is the hardest difficulty. But if you actually, if you challenge that preconception in this game, you'll actually find, if you do your research, that the easiest difficulty is actually potentially the hardest difficulty, especially if you focus on research early. And the hardest difficulty, I think, is still mostly the hardest difficulty, but the second hardest difficulty is actually the easiest difficulty, because it doesn't have the headshot thing like Legend, and it doesn't have the overpowered humans like Rookie or the lower normal difficulty. So yeah. Anyway, I had to get this off my chest. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's certainly a head scratcher, so I would love to know what you think in the comments, but I have tested my theories, and they seem to be accurate. So, yeah. You tell me, and I'll see you guys next time.